it's a disgrace. But we just heard 2 to 3 more weeks. I thought they were finished today. And they are finished today if you look at what's happening. I thought they were going to be finished today, and they want 2 to 3 more weeks. The judge asked him, and playing right into the judge's hands. The judge is so happy about 2 to 3 more weeks. Because they all want to keep me off the campaign trail. That's all this is about. This is about election interference. How do we stop it? And it's
the day started and ended at Donald Trump's criminal trial, week 4, day 12, with Donald Trump's lawyers whining to Justice Merchan that they are not prepared to examine certain witnesses. At the end of the proceedings, they said that they are being sandbagged and that the proceedings are so unfair because the district attorney's office was not giving them in advance the list of when each witness would go. The district attorney's office says, look, you have our witness list, so you know the witnesses we're going to call. We're just not going to give you advance notice of when we're calling each specific witness, because when Donald Trump started threatening and attacking witnesses, we then reserved our right, which we are now acting upon, not to give Donald Trump the witness information. We don't have to give him this information. We can withhold it, and because of the threats he posed to the witnesses, we're just not going to give you their order. But you should be prepared for these witnesses because they work for you. Most of them work for the Trump organization. Take today's witnesses who the defense lawyers were complaining they didn't have advance notice of. These are people who have spent their careers working at the Trump organization. You had Jeffrey McConney, who was the longtime controller at the Trump organization. McConney worked at the Trump organization for about 40 years. How do you not know what to question Jeffrey McConney of when he was your controller at the Trump organization? These are your documents. These people worked for the Trump organization. Then after McConney testified, you had Deborah Tarasoff testify, and she was the accounts payable supervisor. Again, she's worked at the Trump organization for her career. She was the one who Alan Weisselberg or McConney or Trump would ultimately tell to cut the checks to whoever the recipients are. She was aware of the protocols, and anything above $10,000, Deborah Tarasoff stated that it required the approval. Any accounts payable that she would be making that was above $10,000, she needed the approval of either Eric Trump, Don Jr., or Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump was going to sign the check, he had to approve it. He micromanaged all of the checks that were going out. It was run like a family business, she testified to. There are not all that many employees who really work at the Trump organization. So again, these are Trump organization employees. And again, the fact that defense counsel keeps on whining and whining that they are being sandbagged throughout the proceeding, it's clearly you get the lawyers you deserve here, or the lawyers who had decent reputations before taking this case have now taken on the persona of their client as just perpetual whiners and perpetual victims. Also, what went down today, we reported about this in another video, so I'm not going to go over it in much more detail here. After Donald Trump's lawyers started complaining early in the morning, Donald Trump was found in contempt, criminal contempt, for his 10th violation of the gag order. Justice Merchan looked at Donald Trump and said, any more violations, you are going to jail. I have no option but to send you to jail. You are not following the instructions and orders of the court. We have to preserve law and order here. So listen very carefully. The next time you do that, I am putting you in jail. I don't care who you are. I don't care what positions you've held in the past. You do it again, you're going to jail, Mr. Trump. Do you understand me? So that's how the day kicked off. Great way to kick it off. And then you had Jeff McConney testify. And look, while maybe it wasn't as dramatic as the testimony of Hope Hicks or Keith Davidson or David Pecker's testimony from last week, this is a document case. This is a falsification of business case. And look, McConney kept contemporaneous notes. Alan Weisselberg kept contemporaneous notes so we can actually see how the falsification of business records actually went down. We are now in the cover-up phase of this criminal trial, right? The first 3 weeks, we were on the Trump trying to interfere with the 2016 election phase, make the hush money payments, how he engaged in catch and kill. Now we're on the falsification of business records phase, the cover-up, how it went down. So take a look. This is something that Jeff McConney testified to. He authenticated these records. You can see right here, this is handwritten notations by ex-Trump organization CFO Alan Weisselberg, and these notes were to McConney. And you see right here, if you look at the bottom, you'll see that it says $180,000, which was the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, plus $50,000 paid to something called Red Finch, that Michael Cohen paid $130 to Stormy, $50 to Red Finch, which was like an online polling company to try to manipulate their polls in the 2016 election. McConney didn't know what Red Finch is. We know what Red Finch is here. We've reported on that scheme before. Then you'll see as part of the notations, it talks about grossed up to $360,000. So $180,000, gross it up to $360,000 when you reimburse Cohen, so he doesn't have to pay. So when he has to pay taxes, he's reimbursed for the amount that he went out of pocket. And then there is an additional bonus that's paid to Cohen. So there's a bonus to Cohen, and then there's the $180,000, $130 to Stormy Daniels. And this is in the notations, and McConney talked about that. This was another handwritten note in a separate document backing up all those other notations, as Adam Klasfeld reports. Jeff McConney jotting down the same system on Trump Organization letterhead, the amount of money to be paid to Michael Cohen for reimbursement. There was a moment during cross-examination of McConney, the controller, where Donald Trump's lawyer, Emil Bove, was cross-examining McConney, and McConney directly undercut Trump's whole defense. He goes, no, that was reimbursement. It wasn't for services rendered. We knew we were reimbursing Cohen for money that he had previously paid. So that was very important. And then you had the testimony of Deborah Tarasoff from Accounts Payable. Tarasoff says she's still currently employed by the Trump Organization. So y'all complaining about being sandbagged by someone who works for your organization right now. Christopher Conroy for the prosecution was questioning her, and the prosecutors have said that Trump signed 9 of the reimbursement checks to Cohen. And then Tarasoff talked about how, look, Donald Trump would frequently void checks. The checks would be clipped to the invoice. They'd be sent to Trump. Trump would look at it. Trump would either ask that they be negotiated down. He would void them if he didn't want to pay it, or he would sign it, or he'd have somebody else sign it. But he looked at these invoices. And so what the prosecution pointed out using Tarasoff is that they went through each of the checks. They showed that Donald Trump would look at the checks. Donald Trump saw what they were for. Trump would approve, and he would sign off on them. And so, Tarasoff's testimony, I think, was very helpful. As Karen Friedman-Agnifilo said, look, this is a document-based case, and that she expected exactly what we saw today. Go over the invoices, go over the corroborating evidence, go over all of the data that corroborates ultimately what Michael Cohen's going to testify to. And by the time Michael Cohen actually will be testifying, all of the documents that everybody else within the Trump Organization, within the campaign, David Pecker, Keith Davidson, everything that Cohen says is corroborated by all of these people. So again, we have Trump whining about being sandbagged, how unfair it is. Trump's lawyers whining, saying it's so unfair. Look, I think Trump knew the way this was going to go down. So earlier in the day, he came out with that stack of articles that he has people print out for him, and he was saying, look, it's so unfair. All of these witnesses are so unfair.
Absolutely no case. It's a political hoax. It's election interference. Anything they can do, and even the witnesses they want to bring up, they have nothing to do with the case. This is a ridiculous situation. Not fair, but we will fight. Thank you.
In any event, it was his witness. These people worked at the Trump organization. So there you have it. The conclusion of day 12, week 4 of the Trump criminal trial. We'll keep you posted as we learn more. But another objectively bad day for Donald Trump. I don't just go, oh, it's a bad day for Trump. I mean, when people in your organization are testifying against you, I think that qualifies as a bad day. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.